Okay, I'm going to try to go through the ingredients fairly quickly because I have a lot to cover. I wanted to do jerk drumsticks, but the store was out of drumsticks, so I got the Purdue chicken wings. Plus wings are my favorite part. For the jerk, I'm going to start with a base, but to add to the marinade, I'm going to add thyme, scallions, white onion. It's kind of hard to find Jamaican Scotch bonnet peppers in my area, so I'm going to use the next best thing, which is habanero. I buy them by the pack and freeze them. And also to that, I'm going to add Caribbean all-purpose seasoning and orange juice. And usually when marinating something, it's best to marinate it overnight, but because of the high acidic level in orange juice, you don't want to do it overnight because it might start to break down the meat. So I'm going to hurry up and get this started so I can marinate it for at least 4 hours. And I don't know if I mentioned olive oil. And then, of course, some of these ingredients will overlap. But we're also having greens. I like to get the bagged greens. Here we have turnip, and I'm going to add kale. Trust and believe, I still go through and wash them and pick out the stems and the, the old pieces. And for that, I have smoked turkey wings because I don't eat pork. But you can use any type of smoked meat that you prefer. I have an onion for that, green pepper, crushed red pepper, black pepper. I'm going to use a little apple cider vinegar and sea salt. Have chicken broth, garlic, honey. And then for the corn casserole, I will be using the Jiffy vegetarian boxed corn muffin mix. You can use the regular. I just opt for the vegetarian because it doesn't have lard. And I have sour cream. I have a can of cream style corn and a can of whole kernel corn. Usually I don't buy canned vegetables, but if I do, if it's something like a whole kernel corn or if it's like a green bean, I usually rinse them off to try to get rid of some of the sodium. But this says that there's no salt, no sugar added. I'll still be rinsing those. And then I have a stick of butter. I use unsalted. Some of that will go in the corn casserole, and then some of that is for the elbow macaroni. I have, or the baked macaroni, I have elbow macaroni, heavy whipping cream. You can use skim milk, you can use condensed milk, whole milk, whatever you choose, using heavy whipping cream. And also I have Velveeta cheese sauce. If I bought the block, I would only be using like a third of it. So instead of getting the block, I just got the packs. There's 3 pouches in here. I'm going to use 2 of those 3 pouches. And I had to get the queso blanco because they didn't have the regular, but it doesn't matter, that'll work. And then I have a mixture of Colby and Monterey Jack cheese. So these are the ingredients for today's dinner. Hope I didn't rush through that too quickly. I just want to hurry up and get this done so I can start on the marinade for the chicken. All right, stay tuned, guys. Okay, so here I have my chicken wings all cleaned and seasoned with a little bit of the Caribbean all-purpose seasoning. This has, those flavors that are included in great Jamaican food. It has ginger, pimento, thyme, coriander, cumin. So I just lightly seasoned the chicken wings with that. For the marinade, I started with the jerk seasoning base. You can use whatever brand you like. I also think I forgot to mention that for the marinade, I will be using brown sugar. I got this recipe from Chris over at the Caribbean Pot. Make sure you check him out. So I'll be adding about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I don't really measure, so I'm just, going off what I think. A 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I have here about a 1/2 cup of orange juice. And to that, I'm going to add about 2.5 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I have my white onion, scallions, Scotch bonnet peppers, and not Scotch bonnet, habanero, and I have thyme. So I'm going to add the vegetables to the marinade. I got this cutting mat from the Dollar Tree, and it's easy to use when you're using one hand. You just fold and pour, and then I'm going to throw in a couple of sprigs of thyme. So you just want to mix up the marinade really well. So once you have that completely mixed up to your liking, you're going to pour that over your chicken. I try to be gentle with the chicken because I want my wings to stay tucked. If you're anything like me, I don't know about you, but if I have chicken wings, I like the tips to be tucked. How about you? So I'm going to mix that up, and then I'm going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator for about 3 hours. Okay, so next on the menu are the greens. I have here some smoked turkey wings, and they have already been washed. And to that, I'm going to add some organic chicken broth. You can use water if you like, but the chicken broth adds to the flavor. So I'm going to pour this in. And I'm going to, sorry y'all, I'm going to cook it for about 20 minutes. And I might add a little water to it. No, that's enough. I'm going to cook it for about 20 minutes. And while that's cooking, I'm going to saute my onion, green peppers, and garlic. And I'm also going to clean my kale and turnips. Just going to wash them and pull out the stems and any unwanted pieces. So yeah, this should take about 20-25 minutes. And while that's cooking, I'm going to get started on the rest of the process. Okay, so I already have the turkey wings going, and I am also sauteing the veggies to go in with the turkey wings. I already washed the greens and kale, and surprisingly there weren't that many unwanted pieces. I only used half of the turnips and about a third of the kale. I'm going to start off with this amount of greens. It's a full bowl, but as it cooks down, I'm sure there will be room to add more. So once I get these started and add my seasonings, a little sea salt, red pepper, black pepper, and some seasonal. Once I get that started, I'm going to go ahead and wash some more turnips and kale just to have it ready for once these cook down, because you know that greens do cook down and then you'll have a full pot in the beginning and it look like you don't have much at the end. And also after I saute the vegetables, I'm going to add about a cup of hot water to the turkey, and I'm going to add the sauteed vegetables. So I'll be back. Okay, so I took out one of my turkey wings just to give me more space. And to that, I'm going to add the sauteed vegetables. I'm going to add the greens on top of this, and then I'll put the other turkey wing on top and let that begin to cook. Okay, so I've added some of my greens, and I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of hot water. You don't want to add cold water because that will, you know, start the cooking process over. It's already boiling, so we don't want to, you know, cool down the water. We want to keep it hot. I'm going to sprinkle in a little salt, not much, a little black pepper, a lot of black pepper. I love black pepper. Some crushed red pepper flakes. You don't have to use these, but we like it spicy. Crushed red pepper. I'm going to add about a teaspoon and a half of honey. And I'm also going to add a little more olive oil, about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then I'm going to put the other turkey wing back on top, push it down so that the lid will fit. And these are gonna cook about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay guys, I'm back. We're now going to prepare the corn casserole. I have a Pyrex dish. It is a 2.2 quart Pyrex dish, and I have sprayed it with olive oil cooking spray. I have 1 box of vegetarian Jiffy corn muffin mix. I have a cup of sour cream. I have a can of cream style corn, whole kernel corn that has been rinsed. I didn't mention the eggs in the ingredients, but I have 2 beaten eggs, I should say, and I have a little less than 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. I didn't realize I didn't have white sugar, but brown sugar is better anyway. And I have a stick of melted butter. So you want to start off by putting your box of cornbread mix in a bowl and just try to get out all the lumps. Make sure everything is pretty much smooth. And to that, you're going to add the whole kernel corn. And remember, I'm doing this with one hand, so I'm working it out the best I can. I'm also going to add a can of cream style corn. Going to add the melted stick of butter. Less than 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And I have 2 eggs here that have been beaten. And I'm going to add the sour cream. I can't do that on camera with one hand. And then I'm going to pour it all into this baking dish, and I'll be back. So here we have the corn casserole. I'm going to put this in a preheated oven at 3. Okay, just put the corn casserole in the oven. I just wanted to show you that the greens are coming along quite nicely. I'm going to go ahead and wash some more and add them to the pot. Okay, so it's been about an hour. I've washed and added more greens to the pot. I'm just going to cover these and cook them for about another 45 minutes. Turn them down low because they need to cook slow on low. Okay, here we have our jerk chicken wings, and I'm just going to put them in a greased 9x13 Pyrex, and we're going to cook them in the oven on 400 for about 30 minutes, and then we'll flip them, and then we'll cook them for another 10 minutes. And then we'll put them under the broiler for another 10 minutes. I know that authentic jerk is cooked on the grill, but this is what you do when you're in a pinch and you don't have a grill. You put them in the oven. So again, that's 30 minutes on 400. Flip them and cook them for another 10 minutes. And then put them under the broiler for another 10 minutes. And everything's going in this dish, the chicken and the marinade. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. I've already flipped over half of the chicken wings. I'm going to flip the other half and cook again for 10 minutes on 400. And then once that's done, I'll put them under the broiler so that they get a little charred for about another 10 minutes, and then they'll be finished. Okay, now we're going to start on the baked mac and cheese. I've already added the salt to the water. Sorry about the steam. Just going to add a box of elbow macaroni, and we're going to cook that for about 7 minutes. Okay, so here I have my baking dish for my macaroni and cheese. I've already sprayed it with non-stick cooking spray, olive oil. So the macaroni's done. I've drained it in the colander. I'm going to pour that in. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Just want to mix that in while it's hot. Going to continue mixing that, and I'm also going to add some sea salt, not too much, and some black pepper. I'm going to give this a good mix and begin on the cheese sauce. Okay, so the same pot that we made our macaroni in, we're going to add the heavy whipping cream. And you want to make sure that your eye is not too high because you don't want to scorch the cream. So I'm going to turn it down a little lower. To that, I'm going to add 2 pouches of the Velveeta cheese sauce. Just squeeze that in. And I'll be back because I cannot do this with one hand. So I've added the Velveeta cheese sauce, and I'm just stirring it so it could start to melt down. And to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of Colby Jack cheese. You can add whatever type of cheese you desire. And I'm just going to wait till that melts down completely, and I'm going to add that to my pasta. Okay, so my pasta's had time to cool down a little bit. I'm going to add to that 1 egg that I have beaten with a fork. You don't want to add the egg right when you take the pasta out the water because it's very hot and the egg will start to cook. So you're just going to add 1 egg to that. Stir that up. Make sure you stir it good so that that egg is worked all the way through the pasta. And I'm going to add my cheese sauce that is melted. Again, you know, I'm working with 1 hand. So I'm going to add my cheese sauce, and then I'll show you right before I cover it and put it in the oven. Okay, so I've added my cheese sauce. Y'all already know what good mac and cheese sound like. I don't even have to tell you. Make sure that it's stirred well. If you feel like the sauce is too thick, you can add a tinge of water to thin it out. Don't really need a whole lot, just a tinge, just to loosen it up a little bit. Make sure that there is no noodle left behind. Then you're going to cover it with 2 cups of cheese. I was about to say cheddar. 2 cups of cheese. Yes, my hands are clean. And then this is going to go into the oven on 350, covered with foil. 350 for 20 minutes. Alrighty, the wings are out and the mac and cheese is in. Another 20 minutes and this meal will be complete. Okay, everything is finished. We have corn casserole, baked mac and cheese, non-authentic oven-baked jerked wings, turnip greens with kale, and some fresh tomatoes. I thought something was on that tomato, but it's actually a hole in it. I thought some greens fell, but it's a hole in the tomato. Anyways. Why do I feel this way? Why does she stay?